The person with BPD is in an almost continuous state of hyperarousal, often self-medicating and getting their needs met in destructive ways. They might excuse their behavior, maybe they're not even aware of it, or it could be that they do realize but they can't control it. And that can result in massive shame as they sabotage and destroy their lives, especially their love lives. I'm Lise Leblanc, therapist, author, and life coach, and today I'm talking about some of the gender differences between males and females with BPD, as well as the dysfunctional relationship cycle that typically occurs in a romantic relationship with a male partner with untreated BPD. Please keep in mind that BPD is on a spectrum, and depending on the severity and subtype, as well as whether they're receiving treatment for BPD, these relationship stages can vary significantly. Also keep in mind that the impulsive borderline typically has the worst outcomes, often including very damaging and destructive behavior that can include compulsive lying, cheating, risky, and reckless behavior. To learn more about the BPD subtypes, please click on the link above. Okay, so before I get into these relationship stages, let me start with 5 key gender differences when it comes to BPD. Number 1, studies show that men with BPD are more likely to struggle with substance abuse disorders and addictions. Number 2, research shows that men with BPD are more likely to have other personality disorders, including paranoid, schizoid, schizoaffective, narcissistic, and antisocial personality disorder. Women, on the other hand, may also have co-occurring personality disorders, but studies show that they're more likely to have co-occurring eating disorders, mood disorders, and anxiety and trauma-related disorders. Number 3, studies show that males with BPD have more explosive temperaments and display more physical aggression than females with BPD. Number 4, findings show that men with BPD are more impulsive and novelty seeking. Number 5, men are less likely to seek treatment, and if they do, they're more likely to drop out, and it's more likely to be for substance use disorders. Okay, so I'm going to break the stages down, but again, keep in mind that these are generalizations, and they won't apply to everyone in every circumstance. Okay, so let's break down the relationship stages, keeping in mind that regardless of the diagnosis, if you are experiencing these patterns, it is unhealthy and it is toxic, and it can be extremely damaging to your mental health. So stage 1 is the idealization stage. So a relationship with a male with BPD will start on a massive high note. It will be intensely emotional and sexual. Even though you just met, you'll feel like you've known him your whole entire life. The connection is so strong, so energizing, it is magnetic. In this stage, it seems that you have everything in common because he's mirroring your personality traits, your needs, your interests, your values. You want all the same things. You're like twins, soulmates. And it's the most beautiful connection you've ever experienced. You feel like you can trust him completely. You will be his human drug, and you'll be love drunk as well. It's the perfect delusion. You're his perfect princess, and he is the answer to all of your prayers. And for the first few weeks or months, you will be showered with gifts, with love, with time, attention, as he makes you the center of his universe. And the sex may very well be the best sex you've ever had, but it's the emotional connection that really gets you. Because he says the sweetest things, even writes you love letters, speaking straight to your heart, and he opens up to you in a way that no one's ever opened up to you before in a romantic relationship. And it's creating this intense connection. It's only been a few weeks, but already you're planning your whole life together, making plans to move in, get married, have kids, or whatever the fantasy future plan is. During this addictive idealization phase, which can last for several months, you will be on cloud nine. You will feel nurtured and loved like you never have before. And there will be an immediate removal of all boundaries. He wants all of you all of the time. He pours himself into you, fusing with you, and you think to yourself, finally, I have found the love of my life. Swept off of your feet into this beautiful, deep, unique connection, you both repeatedly express how you've never felt this way before. And maybe you haven't, but I can almost guarantee that the borderline has, but maybe he has just forgotten. Regardless, you're completely hooked on each other at this point, feeding off each other's constant validation. It just seems like the perfect drug. But like all addictions, there's a downside. Stage 2 is the fear of abandonment and enmeshment. Just as you're feeling like he is the best thing that's ever happened to you, things start to change. His insecurities and fears crop up and he starts needing a lot of reassurance from you. He wants to know if you really love him, why you love him, maybe suggest that you'd be better off with someone else. And of course, you reassure him, you tell him how amazing he is, how much you love him. But this doesn't satisfy him for long. He's getting more and more clingy, more and more needy, getting upset anytime you spend time with anyone else, doing anything else, even if it's just going to work or spending time with your family. During this stage, he may also express fears of commitment and engulfment. So it's this, please never leave me, but I need a lot of space. When he gets to this point, he might break up with you or just run off without saying anything. He stops returning your calls or texts, maybe just disappears for hours, days. He may go off and do something impulsive, as you're left completely confused because just days ago he was all over you, needing your reassurance, and now he's out. So you're having this emotional crash as he withdraws his love and attention in one fell swoop. And on his side, as the love addiction started to wear off, he went back into an emotionally dysregulated and hyper-aroused state and started vacillating between this fear of abandonment and this fear of losing his independence and getting enmeshed and engulfed. So he associates these negative emotions and intrusive thoughts to you, and where you were once his everything just last week, now he's seeing you as a source of his emotional suffering. And in order to escape this emotional pain, he needs to escape you, which causes him to pull away from you. It could be a discard for good, especially if he's found someone else who he believes can give him that high and that sense of perfect love again. But chances are he'll be back. Stage 3 is splitting. So let's say he does come back. He might apologize, or he may just explain that he was scared and feeling vulnerable. He may tell you of past traumas, attachment issues, and you can see that he is emotionally fragile. You forgive him, relieve that he's back, and you might have another nice honeymoon phase where things are hot and heavy again. He's sweet and back to being the man that you fell in love with. He's idealizing you and everything seems perfect. But then something sets him off. Maybe you express a need or a concern. Maybe you mention a male coworker or something that happened at work. Maybe you look at him the wrong way, speak in the wrong tone. Whatever the case, he gets very angry, starts making false accusations, mischaracterizing you, and attacking you with the most hateful words. Where you were once the most perfect person on the planet, now you're the devil. In his mind, you've betrayed him, you've hurt him, you've breached his trust, you try to reason with him, but it's like he's off into another orbit. Eventually, he will come back down to earth and things will get resolved, but you'll be left feeling seriously confused now that you've seen this drastically different side of him. During this period, he may still be idealizing you a lot of the time, but there's going to be this up and down, push, pull. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened to him, to you're the worst thing that's ever happened to. to him. So this I love you, I hate you. And his overall mood and attitude is deteriorating, and his attitude towards you is taking a turn for the worse as well. He's no longer always happy to see you and full of love. Now he's argumentative, irritable, angry, and maybe flying into rages for no apparent reasons, or at least not reasons that make any logical sense to you. Stage 4 is paranoia and dissociation. So here he becomes more suspicious, jealous, paranoid. He starts monitoring you, questioning your whereabouts, your intentions, why you said this, what you meant by that. He is controlling, getting more and more suspicious and paranoid, despite the fact that you're doing absolutely nothing wrong. And he's getting more distant and detached, not only from you, but from reality. He may be using more substances, numbing out, spacing out, and basing his own actions on his delusional thinking. So for example, he gets a false idea that you're cheating on him, and therefore he starts cheating on you. At this point, you're fighting a lot, almost constantly, often about things that are very trivial or things that might not even be happening, things that are being completely misperceived, misinterpreted, or misconstrued through this suspicious lens. So this intense fighting eventually leads to a breakup. Either it's you that leaves or he leaves, but the relationship comes crashing to an end. Stage 4 is the makeup stage. So once he goes off, probably does something impulsive, breaching your trust, eroding his own self-worth, then he realizes he can't live without you. So he comes back begging at your feet. He may threaten self-harm or suicide if you don't take him back. And he may emotionally blackmail you in other ways. And he just seems so sincere that you take him back, you make up, but you feel uneasy and emotionally exhausted. Stage 5 is where the push-pull cycle or the idealization devaluation intensifies. His mood swings from needy to angry to withdrawn, rage behavior, all of this just keeps cycling. So there's this emotional abuse, verbal aggression, sometimes even physical violence. So again, this leads to the end of the relationship because you're walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace and avoid triggering his insecurities and paranoia, but it's no use because no matter how hard you try, you can't stabilize him or the relationship. The emotional roller coaster is in full swing. Stage 6 is the emotional discard. Now he feels like he's stuck in a catch-22 where he can't live with you and he can't live without you. He sometimes still loves you, but also sees you as an oppressor. He blames and resents you for holding him back, trying to control him, and he will punish you in many ways, which he will justify in his mind. That said, it is highly likely that his behavior will make him feel extremely shameful, which he'll probably deal with using a variety of numbing tactics, thrill-seeking, novelty-seeking strategies that, again, only sabotage and create more destruction in his life. And whatever it is that you found out about in terms of things he's done to punish you is probably just the tip of the iceberg, especially if you're dealing with an impulsive borderline. As much as you want to forgive him and have compassion for him, you are realizing that he is not capable of having a stable, healthy relationship, at least not without intensive treatment. So maybe you wait until he has his next episode to end the relationship, because by now you're feeling guilty, obligated, and afraid of what he might do to himself or to you if you end things. You've become codependent, responsible for regulating his moods and managing his life. The more the relationship goes on, the more you become his parental figure, responsible for all of the details of his life. So as you stress out behind the scenes, trying to make sure he doesn't blow up his life along with yours, it becomes a huge burden, which he does not appreciate and actually resents you for. Stage is repeat and recycle. So as he wrestles with conflicting thoughts and emotions about you, needing you for his survival while resenting your caretaking role in his life, it becomes this love-hate dance on a tightrope. That said, if your partner is willing to engage in intensive treatment for the next several years, there is hope. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and to learn more about borderline personality disorder, click on the link above.